Hi, this is Corrine Million, the Executive Director and Co-Founder of the Winning Edge Leadership Academy. And if you are here, you already know what it is. It is Winning Edge Wednesday. We bring you conversations with industry professionals doing their thing. And we just want to make sure that we are living true to our purpose, our mission, developing the next generation of women and minority leaders in sports and entertainment. Today's conversation is going to be a very special one for all of those looking for their next job, trying to get their first job. We have an HR professional here who's going to answer all of our questions when it comes to getting in the business. Want to say a hello to Black Sports Professionals Miami in the building. We always appreciate fellow organizations coming through. So today, Kim Blue, she's also on our advisory committee. She is an HR professional working now with Zoom, our favorite place right now. But I first met Kim working at ESPN. She was my HR liaison, and Kim is here now. So we're gonna bring her on so we can have this fantastic conversation and answer all your HR questions. Have them. And if, again, you are new to the building, you can drop your comments, questions, everything. Hey, Kim.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome. You could drop your questions or comments in a comment. I'm engaging, so I see them all. Or you can drop them in the question box. Kim, welcome to What's Next. You're looking glowed up over there. I love it.
Thank you so much. I'm a day in the life is me doing my thing for Zoom, and I actually had another panel that I spoke on earlier, so I was ready for all of this today.
Listen. As someone working for Zoom, you should be used to being on panels and sharing your voice. So we appreciate this smile. We appreciate your insight and energy today. So we're gonna get started. We got Kareem, we got ESPN folks, we got everybody. JD's in the building, Kareem from ESPN. We appreciate everybody joining in. Like I said, drop comments. We love to talk. Drop your questions. This is an HR person. This is not just some random professional that's going to come and talk about their journey. This is somebody that is used to sitting across from people as they interview. So I start off all my conversations the same way. Who are you? What do you do? And why?
Okay. So thank you for having me. So my name is Kim Blue. I currently have the honor of leading the business partner team for Zoom. So my super fancy title is the global head of people experience partners. And by people experience, that is how Zoom defines human resources. And, in short order, what I do is I get to really help design and implement the HR strategy for Zoom, both in North America, but then really I get to do it outside of North America, which for me is a personal passion to be able to add that global knowledge base to my, my HR industry experience, right? I've been in HR for about 15 years. The first 5 were all in corporate health and wellness. And then I moved into a business partner role. And I spent the last 12 years as a business partner across ESPN, which is where we met, right?
Yes.
And then, and so many of the others who are in the chat, I see probably I was their business partner. I've interacted with them as well. So shout out to everybody who was here to support me, because at one point I was supporting you. And then I spent 2 amazing years at Microsoft, really getting a chance to engross myself in the tech space proper, and I supported Microsoft's cloud product Azure, so I'm sure many people are familiar with that, and had a chance to really work alongside some brilliant and thoughtful leaders and really just expand my footprint from an HR perspective. And then had a tap on the shoulder from a retained search firm that said, hey, we've got 2 opportunities that we would love you for. One that I could not take because I had recently relocated to the
Atlanta,
the East Coast, right? I had recently relocated to the A, and it would have meant going back to the West Coast. And as much as that opportunity would have been amazing, just wasn't the right timing. And the other one happened to be this role for Zoom. So I now get to spend my days alongside some really thoughtful leaders who are looking at everything from how do we continue to make the product work as we look at year 2 of, this pandemic and the way that we live, work, and play,
yes,
to very much, in terms of how are we just taking care of our people. and what are the things we need to be thinking about every day with them. So that is what I do. And then in addition to that, I have the Zoom affords me the opportunity to take on some external executive advising appointments. And so um, I hold three, and one of them happens to be with the winning edge. And
Bang bang.
so I sit on the
Thanks
winning,
to
yeah, I sit on the,
Talea. Talea's
yes,
on here.
yes, yes. So shout out to Talea, who um, I believe is a game changer. I was doing some career mentoring with her, and at one point she said, "Listen, I put your name in the hat as someone that Kareem needed to speak to. Do you know her?" And I was like, "Do I know her? Of course, right?" And the rest is history. So that's just proof that connections are never one-way streets, right? They are always the path to being able to open up opportunities, create connections and conversations, but really explore how we get to just do the work we're passionate about through our own network. So I hold an advisory board position with the Winning Edge, and could not be more thrilled to be here.
Awesome. And you hold two others. One of them I saw officially announced on
Yes,
LinkedIn. If you want to
yes,
talk about that as well.
I will, and I'm so excited to talk about that because the co-founder of that organization also is a former ESPN employee and is a fellow student athlete, which I think absolutely connects into what the work the Winning Edge is. And so we have a friend. Her name is Megan O'Leary, and she co-founded an organization called Terrazzo. And Terrazzo is all about helping companies think about how they sort of meet at the intersection of connection and recruitment, and how we're being really intentional about that. And so I hold an executive advising appointment with them as well. And she is a former student athlete as well. She's two-sport collegiate athlete, and in addition to that, she happens to be an Olympian, right? She rose for
Big
the
deal.
U.S. women's, right? Just a little big deal. And she rose for the team, but she's so supportive of this, So when I told her I was saying, she was like, "That's amazing," right? So she was really excited to be able to know that the complement between these organizations, but certainly as we think about that, where we can continue to learn, right? There's a lot of intersection between what Winning Edge is doing and what she's doing. So that is one of the other advising appointments that I hold.
Awesome. So I we like I said, we always have conversations with industry professionals and they talk about their journey and they're giving advice on, how to build your network and how to do things. But now we can really tap into the mind of someone, like I said, who is sitting across the room from or sitting across the desk from the person interviewing. So for a lot of our community, a lot of our audience, they're young professionals, whether they're watching now or after practice, they're going to watch it on YouTube. And as student athlete, we hear a lot that those are great teammates. These are great people an organization would want to have on their team. But from the student athlete perspective, they feel like they don't have experience. They don't know, my resume doesn't have all these internships, all these things. What are some of the advice or some of the things that you're telling young professionals, young students who may not have a ton of experience as they're getting prepped up or hyped up for maybe their first interview?
So that's a great question. I think the most important thing is for them understanding the transition that they're getting ready to make, right? There is a full difference between that student athlete life and this, what you'll hear me refer to as EIC, or early in career life, right? You
Right.
are leaving behind fundamental aspects of your routine, what I'll refer to as like creature comforts, right? Which is when you're a
Yes.
student athlete, right? You have certain creature comforts that you come accustomed to. All that goes away when you're when you are stepping into the real world. And so some of that support system that you had, that sort of incubation around you, you now have to cultivate that for yourself. It doesn't come baked in anymore, right?
Right.
And that can be a rude awakening for some student athletes. And so starting to network, starting to do your research early, once you've decided what career direction you want to go in, becomes really critical about the success you will have, even just exposing yourself, right? Because what you don't want to do is your season to end, you to graduate, and you to be like, well, now what? You want to transition from whatever sport you're playing or whatever activities you're in into some intact networking groups that will allow you to leverage the collective experience, mindset, and opportunities that are there, right? Be curious and ask questions around saying, well, what are some things as a new, entrant into the workforce that I should be considering? What are you seeing with your organizations, right? leaders, hiring managers, recruiters love to know that people are plugged in to the things that are most important to companies. And so, as a student athlete, when you kind of come up for air, it's important to be able to think about what are the steps that I need to take, right? And how am I thinking about it? The things that probably trip student athletes up most is, man, I really haven't spent that much time on my resume, or now who's going to help me do this? Because those are not services that are provided in the student athlete experience, right? And
Right.
I know you can attest to this. These are things that we are trying to solve for at the winning edge, right? But how are we creating that bridge? And so I think that starting early and really finding value in saying, I want to focus on three things: my brand, my resume, because that's certainly my first business card, right? And my network. That, as a student athlete, it's not overwhelming, and you can build your network over time. You can tweak your resume over time, right? And you can establish your brand, but you need to do all of those things so that
Right.
coming out, you feel a little more grounded, a little more stable in what you're doing, right? It's not like
I
going
love
into a new
that.
world for the first time. So
I love that your brand, your resume, your network.
your
Like,
network.
I might have to bottle that up and throw that on a graphic or something. That's
Go
so
for it.
real. Like, and it's like it doesn't sound hard. Like, it's not like you have to go out and get 5 years of experience. Build your network, build your resume. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
love that. And so you talk about research, you talk about starting to explore, and we hear so much about like use LinkedIn and send cold emails. And when we say that to our game changers, or when somebody reaches out, they're so intimidated. Like, I don't know how to write that email, or I don't know how to connect with someone on LinkedIn. Or they send a novel, like, here's everything about me and all the things that I would love to
Right.
do, and how can you help me? So let's talk about that sweet spot. What is some of that? If you somebody was like, help me craft a LinkedIn message, or help me
Yes.
craft an email, to a cold email, to do that exploring, what is some of the tips you're sharing there?
That's such a great question. And I often think, and in the coaching, and I'm sure there are people in the who are watching this who have had, who've been coached by me when I talk about, you hear me talk about word economy, right? Because word economy is everything, right? It is the
Yes.
ability to accurately convey what it is that you want people to know, what information you're trying to glean, and what's the action or outcome you are ultimately looking to see. It's those three very simple things that feel like they can be a lot. So when you're crafting a communication to someone, especially if you're taking the advice or the guidance of a mentor, an advocate, or a sponsor, which I'd love to get to later because there's a
We
difference
will.
between the three, right? And it's important to know who can serve you where on your journey, right? But when you're taking the guidance of somebody saying, hey, take a risk and reach out to somebody that either you don't know but could offer you something, right? When you are introducing yourself, right? In grad school, my coaching professor used to say you need to be brief and deep, right, at the same time, right? And shout out to Dr. Bennett if he gets wind of this, right? But Dr. Bennett used to teach us that all the time: be brief, but be deep. And so that's guidance that I leverage. So in a communication, what that translates to is this: you're introducing yourself. Hello, I am this, and here's how I got to you. Super simple. That's a sentence and a half, right? Then you're going into the reason that you're reaching out. I'm reaching out because I learned that you are or have access to or may be a subject matter expert in slash this is an area that I'd like to be more informed in.
I'm,
Period.
I have to stop you because I'm
Yes.
so excited that you're breaking this down. I feel the tears coming down my, like, out of my eyes right now, and I'm like, I don't want to mess up your flow,
No,
so
that's okay.
you have to bring it back. But I just want to emphasize how important what you're breaking down is right now. So start from the
Yes,
top,
I will.
please.
I will start from the top, and then even after this, what we can certainly do is I'm happy to put sort of a transcript of the architecture of a communication together, and we can make it available for anyone who would like this. And again, that's why I harp on word economy. So what I'd initially said was there's three main things that you need to put right. So you're telling who you are, right? And why you are reaching out to them, and then ultimately you're trying to be clear about what it is that you're either asking for, looking to create an outcome around, right, or where you want to go. So when you open the communication, Hi, my name is Kim Blue. I am currently a student at X University. I received your contact information from this person. So that's it, right? That's two sentences right there. Then you're immediately following that up with it's my understanding that you are a subject matter expert in X field, or that you have the right network that could help me gain information on insert subject matter line here. Done, right? Would you be willing to have a conversation with me, or could we engage in an email exchange where I could ask you questions, or we could have a conversation around one topic, right? Insert topic here: networking, branding, computer science, whatever the case may be. Done, right? Thank you for your consideration. If you have any follow-up questions, right, please contact me here. Name, email, phone number. Done, right?
Send it.
It's send, right? We do not need life story, blood type, like none of that needs to be in there, right? There's a DNA sample, right? All that is, you save that for the opportunity to really connect. And there's probably a moment of vulnerability that you'll get to with this person. But when you are initially relationship building, right? Brief and deep. Here's who I am. Here's how I understand you to be of value to my life. Would you be able to offer this? Period, right? And then you set a time frame for yourself as to when you will follow up, right? Sometimes you can say it in the mail and you can say, like, great. If I have not heard back from you by this date, I'll look to follow up. And then on the follow up, it's, hey, I'm following up. And please see my previous mail, right? If I don't hear back from you this day, I'll assume that, right now you're not in a position to accept my request. And, at a later date, hopefully, we can do that. And then you move on, and it's the same process, right? That way you're not trying to reinvent the communication wheel. Now you can spend your time on that research around saying, well, who else would be a good person for me to talk to, or to cold call or cold reach out to. But the comms part of it is very structured, very simple, not a heavy lift. And it shouldn't feel like this whole anxious, laborious task to write 5 sentences in a LinkedIn post
Yes.
or an email, right?
Yes. So then when we say do all that, they do all that. But what if they don't get back to me?
That's okay, right? You've taken your part, right? It's okay that they don't get back to you. Sometimes we're all on a different schedule. We've got, our plates are all full, plus the ones that we're keeping spinning in the air. So if they do not get back to you, then you move forward with whomever the next person is on your list, or you go back to your mentor, your advocate, your sponsor, your coach, whoever that person is that's helping you design what your path looks like. And you say, hey, I haven't heard back from this person. I think I'm ready to move forward. If they get back to me, great. Then we can engage in it. But that doesn't stop you. And I can understand why it may discourage you, but it doesn't stop you from pursuing what your outcome is, right? Ultimately, this is about you, your outcome, your success in building your network and establishing your brand, and really getting, a defined set of capabilities and skills, whatever that looks like. That's not contingent upon one person being able to add value to that. So you keep going, and you don't let that hinder what your long-term goal is. Because if you're stuck on one person waiting to hear back from them, think about the time that you're missing out on, where you could be, leveraging other resources out there, right? The ability to connect and do something, right? It also prohibits you from trying something different, right? That's the other part of the coaching that I have, is if that doesn't work, then let's get to a place where we're doing something different, right? Whether it's something you've done before or something you haven't done before.
So I love that you kind of talk about moving forward. And so there are two things about the scheduling as well. So one, especially in sports, don't email people who work in football during football season and expect to get a response. Like, that just don't work.
Right.
Like, I love when people are like, oh, I saw Maria on TV on Saturday. I'm gonna email her Sunday morning during football season. You're not gonna get a response. You're just not.
If you email Maria during football season on a Sunday, if you know anything about football season, part of football season overlaps with basketball season, and,
so you're just
Maria's on TV on Sunday, right? So again, it's educating yourself, right, and understanding what that looks like, and that's part of that approach to, taking advantage of knowledge of self, knowledge of environment, and what's the path to getting where you want to be, right, successfully. So.
And then the other piece is making yourself available. Don't hit me up or don't hit somebody up and say, hey, can you meet? I love 15 minutes. And they give you some time. You're like, oh, I can't make any of those times work. Make it work. Unless you're like, I have surgery this day. I'm having a baby this day. Like, unless it's something earth shattering that you just
Yes.
cannot move, make
Yes.
yourself available. Don't
Yes.
have us chase you down.
Yes. I tell people all the time, you need to manage expectations, yours and theirs, right? If part of that communication needs to include, here is my upcoming availability for the next X days, put that out there, right? And then engage in whatever that exchange is. And then if you need to flex, flex. Because here's the thing, Shug, you need to talk to them, right? They're all right. And
I'm good.
sometimes, right?
I'm
And
good.
sometimes that's a hard thing. And I'm not delivering a harsh message. What I'm saying to you is that if you're reaching out with a need, right, be available to receive the need. And even if that means you have to flex a little bit, that's okay, right? Sometimes, and again, that goes back to the part about doing things differently or doing things that you've never done before, right? And if you're always used, right, especially as a student athlete, right, because people will flex for you, they will make concessions for you, right? You have the time to kind of, you get accoutrements of being a student athlete, right? And that's what I mean when I say early in career is not like that. Like, folks are
No,
not going to flex.
nobody cares.
If you need the senior vice president of something, you're going to need to be prepared to be on their time. I'm not saying that they won't be flexible for you. What I'm saying is that this is a journey and you need to meet in the middle, right? And that's part
Yes.
of the doing something different or putting yourself out there in a way that you never have before. And working through that discomfort, it becomes a part of acknowledging the change that's in this, right? There's some growing pains that come with it, and that's perfectly okay.
Yes. So we talk about what to say, and you already alluded to it. So let's break down the people on your tribe. Because I will say, like, Talea is the epitome of understanding the tribe. She not only is in your tribe, but she's put people in her tribe. And I don't think I've ever had a conversation with one of her game changers. And I always ask, when was the last time you talked to your mentor? Oh, yeah, me and Talea, we was chopping it up. And I'm like, yes, come through Talea. So
Yes.
let's break down the members in your network and their
Yes.
responsibility.
Absolutely. So, and certainly shout out to T. She's definitely been a member of T and I've been friends for 14 years, right? The whole time she's been at ESPN, and I left 2 years ago, right? And so we've been friends this whole time. I've done extensive career coaching with her, both when I was at ESPN and outside of that. And so I think part of your tribe has to consist of people who are ready to do it the way it needs to be done, right? So match my energy, right? It's not necessarily hustle or ambition, just match my energy, right? If you tell me that you're ready, right, be ready. And I will tell you, and I will use part of our story, right? We had talked about a couple of things in advance, and then one day she called me, and so because we're friends, she calls me Blueski. She was like, all right, Blueski, I'm ready, right? I need you. And I was like, I got you, do this. And I said, when? And she said, like, let me get through these things, right? I think she was transitioning shows, and she said, and then we will start our journey in that day. And we did. We started her. She was committed to it. And I said, if you decide that you're not ready, let me know, because if we're going to do this, we're going to do this the right way, because I'm going to show up and give my all, right? And so there's that commitment there around, being on that same energy. The other part of that is really understanding that your tribe should consist of a variety of background, experience, perspective, whatever that looks like, right? Sometimes you're right. For the culture, we call it the tribe, right? In the professional space, we call it your personal board of directors, right? It could be, anything that you want to be able to call it, but they should be people who are invested in your success. That's the very first thing that's at the top of the list. If they are not invested in your success, then the guidance that they may offer you, while the intent is well meaning, the impact that it has may not manifest the way that you want to, right? And that's another
Right.
one of the things that I always lean into, right? Intent versus impact. So they need to be invested in your success. They have to be willing to always tell you the truth. So there's this notion of honesty that's there, even if it's a hard message that you don't like or you don't want to hear, right? They need to be able to tell you the truth. You also need to be prepared for healthy exchange, meaning they're not always going to agree with you. And you may have a different path, right? And they may offer a different path. And you all have to decide what your working agreement is going to be, which is the fourth principle that I have, which is how are we going to do this, right? What are the things you're going to commit to? And what are the things I'm going to commit to, so that when we show up in this engagement, we're consistently doing the same thing every single time, right? And then the fifth thing that I would offer that these people, this person or this community needs to have is they need to have a relentless pursuit of passion for their own endeavors, right? You need to see them showing up in their work the same way that you want them to put out energy in the way that they are guiding you, right? Now, who this doesn't have to be an HR professional, right? It can be a coach. It can be a family member. It can be anyone in your professional circle who you admire and respect, but most importantly, who demonstrates the values that you align to, right? Because your values are your brand.
Right.
Okay. People don't understand that, but I'm telling you, it is the thing that I coach fundamentally on. Your values are your brand. So when I talk about intent versus impact, what I'm saying is that if you value honesty, integrity, accountability, right? If that's your jam, what people fail to realize is that is how you are going to show up, and that's how people experience you. So if
Right.
you're always honest and you deal with somebody who's not honest, then it's going to be difficult for you to engage with that. So don't put anybody in your tribe who doesn't show up that lends themselves to your values, because then
Right.
they are not going to represent your brand when they are talking about you in circles or conversations where you're not present, right? And that is so, so important. So it can be whomever, but just make sure they align with your values. They're honest, expect that healthy discourse, right? Understand that you have to design what the engagement's going to look like, and make sure that they are about their own business the same way that they are going to help you contribute to yours.
I love that. So real. The tribe is so real. So you talk about your mentor, your coach, and another person. Who are these different? Because I think like
Yes.
so often when the kids like, I gotta go, I have to reach out to the CEO, I gotta reach out to the president, right? So let's talk about the different levels to this
Mm-hmm.
network,
Mm-hmm.
and what they are kind of about, and what they serve, what purpose they serve as you
Yes.
continue to build your network.
That's great. So we often hear about mentors and mentorships, right? And mentors are the people who we immediately go to. They are there to help us be a thought partner. They are there to help us think through, the experiences that we are having, the ones that we want to have. They are even there to help us with guidance or advice on what should I do next, or what's my next move, or how am I thinking that these are things that would serve me or benefit me. And the mentor is there to help guide that thinking and conversation, right? You can have a sponsor, and then you can have an advocate, right? A sponsor is someone who is going to intentionally ensure that your name, your work, your brand is brought up in every opportunity that is relevant to what you want your goals or outcomes to be. So if someone's sponsoring you, it means that they are saying, let me tell you why Kim Blue is the person you need on your team, right? She is squad, she is goals, she is driven, she has got these capabilities, right? She can do this, she can do that. Oh, you've got this project? Let me connect you to Kim, because Kim is going to be the person who's going to be able to bring A, B, and C to what you're doing. The sponsor is the person who literally is evangelizing your name and your capabilities, right? The advocate, and they may do so in conversations or spaces that you're not a part of,
Of
right? And
course,
so
of
and so
course.
that may mean this element of kind of getting thrown into the fire, right? And the sponsor saying, hey, I was at a networking event and I saw this person, and then they spoke to me about this, and then I mentioned your name, and now they want to talk to you. Show up and be ready, which goes back to that sort of comms we talked about at the beginning, right? So it's all interconnected. The advocate is similar to a sponsor, except that the advocate is typically going to be more alongside you on the journey to say, I want to help you identify what the right opportunities are based on what you're telling me. And then I'm going to help coach you on how to advocate for yourself, which is, what's my own story? What's my narrative? How am I ensuring that I am representing myself to the best of my abilities? And then can you, in the right situations, advocate for my success, for my growth, right? You usually see advocates internal to a situation or an organization, right? And they're the person that says, this is the why, this is why this person needs to be promoted, or this is why we need to consider hire this person. And I want to make the distinction between a sponsor and an advocate, right? The sponsor is the person who's going to use your name and kind of help you immediately get into something, versus an advocate may be the person who along your journey helps to ensure that you get into these next opportunities or situations, and they're going to be telling your story in more depth. So that's what I mean when I say they're along for the journey with you. Sponsor relationships may be able to come in and out, right? Whereas advocates may be a little more closer to you on your journey, and you're designing it a little bit to be flexible where you need to maybe pull back, right? You may leverage your sponsor, your advocates network. You may even leverage your mentors network, right? But whereas a sponsor and advocate are different from a mentor, they may not give you that some of that thoughtful advice that you're getting from a mentor to actually help you design the how you're going to show up, how you're going to present your capabilities and skills, how you decide whatever it is that you need to do in terms of career or otherwise, right? Each one of them has a place in your career journey. We hear more about mentorships. I think as people grow in their careers, sponsors and advocates become more of what you see. But
Yep.
early in career is where you're probably going to be leveraging more of a mentor, and probably a sponsor, right? A sponsor could be somebody at a networking event that says, let me introduce you to this person. Let me tell you why that they would be a great, addition to your team or to your project or what have you, right? And then the sponsor will get out of there and let you do your thing, right? So you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And that's what the sponsor is going to be responsible for, right?
Yeah.
And knowing where you need one or the other becomes super important, which is clearly probably another IG live that we should look at doing to talk about the difference between the three.
I love that. Yes, we will. And I think but two things before we wrap it up. I think from the student athlete perspective, you already have some of these people, right? Your AAU coach that been knowing you since you were 10 years old, that could be a great advocate for you, right? Peers, your teammates can be mentors. Don't think all your mentors or all your whatever have to be somebody who's 10, 15 years ahead of you, right? Your
Absolutely.
sponsor could be your athletic director. These are people. Pat told me I used them for 4 years. I expect them to use me for the rest of my life, right? Nobody on campus has a job if you ain't there.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
let's be real about this and leverage those relationships that you're having on campus, and let some of these people on campus, regardless, even if you don't want to get into sports, if you want to be a doctor, there's a trainer, there's your orthopedic surgeon. There are people already in your network, already in your bubble that can fill some of these roles for you.
Yes,
So
that is so true.
you don't have to like go out and build this whole new art to fill up. Like there's
Yeah.
people already on your
Yes.
island with you.
Yes.
And so what is it that you would want people to know? Like if they got anything from this conversation, we're going to come back again and we're going to do this all over again and
Sure.
break down some of this stuff. But if you're watching now, you're watching later, what is it that you want people to understand about that early in the career transition from being on campus, everybody's kissing the ground you walk on, you get all your meals for free, everything you do in your day is structured, to now you're out on your own?
Right. It's a great question. And I would say is that you really need to exercise this notion of gratitude and grace, right? Give yourself the grace to be like, I didn't know, that I'm learning in real time. That change is challenging, right? And that I've got some things to figure out. Part of that grace is also knowing when to ask for help. And maybe it's not even help, but maybe it's just saying, you know what? I've not had this experience. Can someone help me think about the best way to kind of start, right? There's a way to frame it so that you feel like you're getting what you need without necessarily outing yourself or feeling like you're exposing yourself in a way that you may not be comfortable for you, right? So just say, you know what, this is an experience that I've had. What are the nuggets and things that would be beneficial for me to take away, right? And then have gratitude for every single person who comes across, who's willing to take the time and who's willing to inform you or become a part of your network, right? And express that gratitude. Thank you, right? That goes such a long way with that, because nobody owes you anything, right? And that, there is a sense of entitlement, or there's a sense of this sort of perspective of like, well, this is what you should be doing because you are an executive, because you are, right? Executives have lives, families, people are giving of their time. And so expressing that gratitude helps you to transition, because at some point you're going to be in the space where you're offering the same thing, right? So approach this career transition with gratitude and grace for yourself, grace for the people who are going to be imparting wisdom on you, and then the gratitude for anyone who crosses your path. For every opportunity that you have, even if it doesn't yield anything, you still have gratitude for the opportunity, because it was one more opportunity that you had that you didn't before.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kim. Like, I can't wait for this transcript. I'm already like rattling off graphics. I'm putting it in the story for our kids, for our game changers to watch and comment on. But you are continue to be a valuable, I don't want to say asset. That sounds so transactional, but you
Well, that's
continue to
okay.
be a valuable gem in the orbit of the Winning Edge. We so appreciate your energy and your time, and continue to be the light in so many other people's lives, as you can see from the comments and the call in the IG today. You are out here living the life we should all want to live when it comes to pouring into others. And I thank you. And again, this won't be the last time we see you on the gram.
Thank you so much for having me. Always happy to be here. This is my passion in my work, and I want people to always feel like they are taking away something valuable from these conversations, because that is my gift. That's what I'm here to do. So thank
Awesome.
you
So
for having
I'm
me.
gonna be sending you the link. Like, okay, so when is the next one? And we'll make
Okay.
it happen.
You got it. I'm right there.
All right, I'll
All
see you.
right. Talk to you soon.
So I mean, I already told you. I already told you that it was gonna be a lit conversation. This is somebody who, as you see, is so passionate about making sure that everybody is where they want to be. Everybody can eat. So if this is your first What's Next, thank you for joining us. You can always catch all of our episodes on our IGTV or on our YouTube. Follow us on all our social platforms at The We Leadership. Visit our website, sign up for our newsletter, keep up with us, engage with us. We are doing it. We are making sure the next generation understands what it takes to work in sports entertainment. My name is Corinne Million, and I thank you for your time. And we'll be back later today with another guest. So if you don't know, now you know, 6:30, we're coming back here with CJ Simmons. Talk to you soon.